Well, okay. Here we are. I've got a different ad scheme on today. We'll just see how it works. And it's pre-rolls instead of post. I should have done it while I was posting the initial go live stuff. I should have clicked the button and had it run a quick ad at the start just to clear it. Oh well. Um, Too late now. And the reason I'm running this is because I switched over to this for that really short thing I did when I unmolded the cheesecake, and I forgot to switch it back. And that's the only reason. Um, so yeah, hi, I'm here. It's short sleeves weather. We're back in short sleeves. If we slide over here, um, oh, some of these are a little bit wet. I got all these zucchinis for $1. For 99 cents actually, and it was not taxed, so just 99 cents, so not even $1. Fantastic deal. So we're gonna use them. I've never made nor eaten zucchini noodles, aka Zoodles. So we're gonna give those a try, and we're gonna use this thing. Remember this thing? We've only used this thing, I think, twice, because it scares me. It's a peeler with a row of terrifying little teeth. But it's for cutting strips, and I've used it for carrots. It works really well for carrots to make those like long, ribbony strips. And I tried to use it for citrus, and it didn't work so well. But we're not doing that right away. I think they get soggy if you cut them too early. You gotta saute them. It's weird. It's weird. I did a little bit of looking into it. Oh, my scalp is a little bit red. I was out all morning. I was out all morning looking for birds. So we're not touching these right away, and I don't think we're going to use all of them. Step one of today's project is we're going to be making the sauce, and the sauce is also. Let me wipe down. Get some carrot stains on our countertop there. Although we're just going to get more carrot on it because we're starting with a sofrito. Because I'm going to make bolognese, but I don't know. I'm inspired to do something weird, so we're going to use tofu. We're going to use some of these odd ingredients I've got knocking around. We've got our savory spice blend. Yeah. So step one, we have to construct our sofrito. So celery, carrot, and onion. And I'm going to go for one of these big onions. We're really going to onion it up. Oh, and we need a pot. I feel like this guy. Wide, flat, has a fitted lid. Because I think we might need to lid it at some point. We will fire that up with some olive oil. Although we're not going to get it hot until we've got at least the starting trio in it. Get out. No. Okay. Big onion, weird little miniature sentoku. Topped and tailed in half. Skin it. Get our compost bucket open, ready for parts, because there's going to be a lot of parts. Currently, my compost bucket is topped with a large amount of strawberry leaves, because strawberries are super cheap, but they're going off really fast. So I took all the strawberries that I had and I turned them into strawberry syrup. Sort of strawberry preserves, but really syrupy strawberry preserves. So there's trimmings in the bucket, and boy, do strawberry trimmings go fuzzy fast. Okay, we need a lot of onion because we need a lot of savory. We're gonna have to ramp up the savoriness here to compensate for the fact that we're not using a beef base. We're also gonna have to add, I think we're gonna have to add a little bit of fat to it. I'm not strictly keeping myself vegan. I'm just trying to experimenting with tofu. I'm practicing what I preach a little bit and cutting back on the meat. I tend to use a lot of meat here on the show, especially. George, hi. Lurking is always welcome. Never worry about lurking. We don't need the giantest of all the carrots. But yeah, if you've caught even a single episode here, I'm no vegan, I'm no vegetarian. But I do think that collectively we need to cut back a bit on the meat. And I'm not a big fan of the processed substitute pretending to be meat things either. I much prefer just meatless ingredients used as they are. So we're not attempting to mimic beef here. We're just trying to mimic sort of a thick, savory sauce. That's what I'm shooting for. I don't know. I guess it inspired purely because I got the big pile of zucchini. And I was like, what am I going to do with zucchini? Let's try Zoodles. That's not going to take very long. What do I do with it? and we landed on this. And also, I need an excuse to use up some celery, because I don't use celery often enough, and it frequently gets to the point where I start to lose my celery because I just haven't used it. We're going to grab 2 of them because I have to top and tail both of them. Celery would be one of those things that I would plant, because then I could just let it grow and only harvest it a bit at a time, because a whole thing of celery is usually more than I need, more than I'll get to. But when I've tried growing celery, it doesn't get very big. I don't think I have ideal conditions for celery. Boy, I like this. Tiny santoku. It actually works really well. I thought it was just like a gimmick. But the shape of it is actually really good for this sort of dicing motion. Just like the big one. Yeah. We're gonna need this. We're gonna need this guy anyway, so we're gonna get him out right away. I guarantee you that this is going to stick to the bottom at some point. So may as well start with our straight edge scraper. Heat and salt, and be generous, but not overly generous. You don't want to salt bomb yourself, but you need to let enough salt to let that sweat out. And I'm going to start it out lidded. Swing back over and we will start working on other elements. We're going to need some garlic. My garlic is going a little bit sprouty, as you can see. Nothing inherently wrong with sprouty garlic. There is something inherently wrong with that clove, though, because that gray tone is not a sign of health. We're going to get rid of that one. In fact, we're going to use the whole thing, since the middle clove was having a little bit of a time. I'm just going to assume that they all are and use them up before they start to turn. I don't think we're going to trim well, we're going to cut them, but I don't think we're going to throw away the green tops here. I think we're going to just throw them in. Ooh, that's what I should add to that. I always forget to use the ramps. I froze a bunch of ramps last spring, and I have quite a lot of them left because I forget to use them. Oops, that doesn't go there. But this would be a good thing. I could just chuck one of my little blocks in there. Okay. Take the little root ends off because they are hard. That's a funny looking clove. Let's see, I just said I was going to use one of my ramp blocks, so I'm going to not forget. They're a little icy, but get one out. I think we're with a large enough chunk. I'll get two out. We're going to just toss them in there. They can slowly steam in the pan. Not really worried about doing it the proper French way. I've got the heat a little bit higher than I would if I was really worried about just doing a perfectly sweated mirepoix. I think if we get a little bit of browning on the bottom, it'll be fine. We're going to deglaze the pan at some point anyways. Okay. Those garlics hang out on top. Continuing. Keep on keeping on. Okay. Get our flavor powders ready. Garlic, more garlic. Especially with no meat. To make this savory, we need to lean in on our savory trio. Garlic powder, onion powder, MSG. For our whole spices, this would be a good time to use some of my homegrown basil. We'll have new basil real soon, so... Oops, you guys are over there. And I don't intend on pulling anything out, so we're going to grind our basil, we're going to grind our bay. We're going to want some oregano, which I may as well grind. Basil, bay, garlic, onion, that stuff. We need a salt abrasive. And we need to grind this into a fine, fine powder. Ooh. But it's working. There's a few little fragments of bay still in there, so we'll keep grinding it a little bit. But adding that little bit of salt abrasive to your grinder before you do something like leaves, especially the harder leaves like bay, gives the grinder something to bite onto so that you end up with no big chunks. Okay. Okay. What else do we want? What else do we want? Do we want to put in dry hot pepper? I think we do. I have no recipe today. We're winging it completely. So I'm going to just do brainstormy things. We're going to grab one of these. I don't want this to be crazy spicy, so we're going to go with one. These peppers have proven themselves to be inconsistently spicy. Oh, oh, okay, but this one is spicy. Oh, boy, is this one spicy. Throw in some black pep, throw in some... I almost want to throw in some fennel. I'm throwing some fennel. Because I feel like if I was making a bolognese with meat, I would reach for pork sausage rather than just plain ground pork, and that would have some spices in it, including fennel. So I am approximating a spicy Italian sausage. Okay, so Those spices want to be lightly toasted. Those ones want to be infused into the sauce directly. Those ones are at risk of burning. Well, not the MSG, but the garlic and onion powder are at the risk of burning and sticking. Although, that's kind of how I've divided them. Mostly I've put those there because those are the flavor, the savory trifecta. I think we want some smoked paprika because I think we want some smoke flavor, but I don't really want to add a bunch of liquid smoke. And I think that's all of our spices. That should give us a kick. That should give us a savory. That should give us all the depths of flavors. Oh, I know what's not giving us the depth of flavor, and I actually have this. And they use it in veggie cooking a lot because it does a thing that no plant can really accomplish. I have some nutritional yeast. And the reason it does something no plant can accomplish is because yeast isn't a plant, it's a fungus. So it gives you that savory, in fact, probably goes with those guys, but I'm going to add it. It gives you a savory, almost cheese-like flavor. You can replicate it. It replicates the effect of like mushroom. So if you're using, I would say if you're using mushrooms, you don't really need to throw in the nutritional yeast. But if you're not using mushrooms, which we are currently not using, it is another source of that same savory umami note that mushroom gives you. Let's slide to the left. Those guys have broken up. All of our salt is dissolved. And our total volume of stuff has declined. So that's good. We want this to sweat out. We're going to open the lid and lower the temperature just a smidge. We're going to get a scraper because stuff will stick to my wooden spatula. Oh, I guess we don't need that open right now. Okay, we're going to take our hot spices and seeds and throw them in because they need to toast up a little bit, and this is a good chance to do so. We want to dry this out most of the way. Because I want to use it as a base to dry out our tofu once we crumble it. Speaking of which, I need to make tofu crumbles. By which I means I'm just going to break up some tofu. Jay! Hi. Join me, won't you, over here in the land of this bowl. Hi, Jay. What's up? Oop. That one was very full of tofu water. Tofu bowl. I don't know if it's going to end up being a bolognese. It's a thick. I'm sure I've offended some Italian with it. We're shooting for the Bolognese style of a thick, savory sauce for our Zoodles. We're making Zoodles because I got all this zucchini for $1. I opted for the 5 pounds of zucchini for $1 instead of the 10 pounds of okra for $1 because I wasn't sure what I was going to do with 10 pounds of okra that was already kinda over the hill. Okay. Extracted from the juice. And we're going to crumble this guy up. Because we want little bits. Yeah, I'm not sure Italy. Yeah, I'm not sure Italy's on board with this. Italy just banned lab-grown meat this week, so I think Italy might not be on board with substituting their long time-honored traditions. That broke up much easier than I thought. I thought I was going to have to struggle and it was going to like smear, but nope. It broke apart perfectly fine. We have no pooling liquid in our pan, so I'm going to go ahead and take that as a sign that I can add my tofu, which is very wet. The whole thing here needs to cook so that we can get the tofu up to texture. That's going to be the issue. I don't want the tofu to be soft tofu. I want it to dry out a little bit. And we're going to scrape down our scraper with our other scraper. I hope the Zoodles don't take very long, because I'm not doing those until I'm at least most of the way through happy with this. So yeah, there's that. We probably should add some soy sauce to it now and let it cook off. I also think I'm going to add some seasoning. Seasoning improves the taste, and we want this to taste good, so we're going to add some seasoning. Normally I don't want my food to taste good, so I don't add the seasoning. But this time, I'm shooting for taste good. As an experiment, as a test. If you're not familiar with what this stuff is, the name is terrible. It just says seasoning and the brand name. What it is essentially wheat gluten, roasted. It's wheat gluten and roasted wheat. So it's just like the savory proteins from wheat extracted into a liquid tincture. And it looks a lot like soy sauce. Does not taste like soy sauce. What it tastes like is that really cheap fake soy sauce that you sometimes get in like a clamshell sushi. Which if you look on them, they will often be made with hydrolyzed wheat protein, and it gives it kind of that, doesn't taste like soy sauce flavor, it tastes like this. And I don't think it's a nice soy sauce. Thank you for the moisten. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. I didn't even have a glass ready. I don't think it's a very good soy sauce substitute, and I hate it for that. But it is a good flavor, and it's going to amp up the sort of rich savoriness of what we're working with here. Moist. Speaking of moist, I was out birding all morning, and it was very dewy when I started and very sweaty when I ended. So moist on both ends for different reasons. Because it's bird season. The birds are birding up out there. Birding like, well, not really birding like crazy. They're getting there. They're ramping up. Hi, sizing. Welcome. We're making that. Sure looks like food. Kinda. It sure doesn't look Italian at all. I'll give it that. Oh, Bob. It's one of those things where I don't know. We have to develop flavors, and I won't really be able to taste it until it's pretty far in and difficult to modify. Ooh, here's a new ingredient I've been playing. Well, I've got a second to talk. Now, we got Nestle because it was the smallest one that was available, and I wanted to test it out. In the future, I will not be avoiding Nestle because Nestle has issues. And I'm going to get more of this, so I'll get a bigger container of a different brand. The cooking, it says right there, the cooking milk. I always have a problem with milk, that I use it for a bunch of stuff, and I like it, but I often end up throwing out the bottom of the jug, and I only get the little half-gallon ones. And I end up throwing them out because I just don't drink enough milk or use it in recipes enough to warrant the whole thing. This would be the perfect alternative, so I wanted to give it a try, and actually, I really like it. We might throw a scoop of that in here, although that would, at the moment, with all veggies, throwing a scoop of milk in there would take us in the direction of having milk. But you're supposed to add a little bit of milk, and I'm not sure what I could do to bolognese, because I don't have any, well, I feel like oat milk was the wrong flavor. The milk isn't there for milky texture, it's there for that creamy flavor. And oat milk just does not deliver that. Sorry, oat milk fans. I'm an oat milk fan. I've got oat milk in the fridge right now. Oat milk does not deliver that. Okay, well, let that keep throttling away. Let's slide back over. Set our flavor powders aside. Oh, what's our tomato option? We can't have this without tomato. I think we're going to kill that tomato paste. Ooh, I have half of a tomato there. Throw in some fresh tomato. Do I have any canned crushed fellas? Fellas, do you have any tomato? No. I think the answer is no. I got a lot of heart of palm. Why do I have so much heart of palm? Oh, we don't have to kill the tomato paste. We have that tomato paste. That's going to be our tomato source. Okay, cool. Solved. Plus more garlic. Why did I get this? I never buy tomato paste in a can. Why did I buy that? Oh well. I think we need the temperature up because I want this to really firm up our tofu. Spices, spices, tomato, protein, mirepoix, more spices. A lot of spices. So many spices. And then we have the question of, are we going to add cheese at the end? And if we do, should we? Some red wine, although that's going to be a deglaze. Okay, let's get a taster out. It's way too early to see what this is going to taste like, but I'm just going to check it for salt levels, because if I could get away with adding a little bit more salt to this, I would do so, because it would help the tofu dry out a little bit. Ooh, maybe just a pinch. Not too much, though. Ooh, it's got a spice to it, though. Mmm. Ooh, a nice little gentle spice. Okay. Yeah. So, how's everyone doing this fine Friday? It's Friday. Anything on tap for dinner? Anything on tap for the weekend, maybe? Weekend dinner? Combine the concepts? Keep my taster spoon ready. All right, we've got a hot minute where we're just going to sort of stand around and look at this thing. I'm not going to carve my zoodles early. Oh yeah, we're gonna have sticking. Ooh, we might want to add more olive oil, actually, since there's no fat coming out of the tofu the way you would get from meat. All of our fat content is coming from our olive oil. Okay, we do have to push this around to make sure that we're not burning to the bottom. We can have some stickage that we dislodge. We just can't permit burning, because then we'll have little burned bits that we won't be able to take care of. Fibromyalgia flare-up, that's not good. That's actively bad. Have you tried not? Sorry to hear that. Well, I hope I can make you feel a little bit better remotely with whatever nonsense I'm doing here. Also, I saw Lee's high. Smells like tomatoes. You've tried not. Okay, well, then I'm out of ideas. I'll send you a. Come here. Come here. Come here. Remote hug. You're welcome, of course. Well, I hope you feel better. I know there's not much you can do about it, but ride it out. Speaking of riding it out, we're kind of stuck waiting for the tofu here to stop being juicy. Although it's getting there. Then we will add things to it. I saw a recipe that started out by doing the tofu crumbles in the oven just to dry them out completely. Like a low temperature in the oven, just to get them dry. Because I guess it is difficult to get the moisture out of them in the pan the way you do with meat. Tofu just tends to retain its moisture a lot more. But I don't want to add any more wet ingredients until I'm satisfied that the tofu has achieved at least a semi-pleasant texture. I don't want to add any of my burnable spices until I'm ready to add some liquid, because if the spices start to burn, I have to add liquid to save them. And if the tofu's not ready at that point, then we're sunk. It's just got water on it. Cord, why are you like this? Cord, why are you like this? The cord is drooping down in front of the pot holder drawer in a really annoying way. So the plan is what I've already said and repeated myself a few times. Dry this out, deglaze with wine and tomato paste. If we ever see sign of burning at the bottom, we just go in at that point. Hey ho! How's it going? Welcome, welcome. What's for dinner? Clean up a little bit around the edges here. Let's do a texture test on one of these crumbles. See how they are. They're still pretty soft. Ooh, leftovers. Fancy leftovers. Oh, we're having some... Okay. We have some medium brown forming at the bottom, and it doesn't scrape up easily, so I'm going to call that as far as I can take it. We don't want that to burn, or we'll lose it. Okay, tomato paste. Temperature down a little bit so that I don't burn everything immediately, because we're about to do that. Splash of veggie broth to loosen up the bottom. Veal Parmigiana. That's pretty good. My tofu is soaking up my liquid. Interesting. So we drove some liquid off of it, but then it returned more. It just soaks up the liquid immediately. That is interesting, and I think is going to make getting my final dish a slight problem, because we're going to have to keep adding liquid to this. Okay. Well, probably should have done those tofu crumbles in the oven. Get them nice and toasted up before I did this. I guess live and learn. Because all that liquid I added, including the wine, is gone. It's soaked up into the mass here. I guess let's add all of our spices. Well, I've got this. Yep. This. I assume there was supposed to be more to that sentence. This is Always Learning Show. Yes. Well, that's part of the fun. Interesting. But that also means that some of our alcohol has not been burned off the way it normally would, because the tofu sucked up the wine faster than I was expecting. To break up that surface so that it doesn't give me mud volcanoes. Okay. Well, I guess it needs to cook together a bit. I wish it was a little bit wetter. It really wants to soak up liquid really, really fast. But it needs to cook out because there's tomato paste in there, and tomato paste has a really unpleasant flavor when you use it just raw. It's meant to be cooked. Our flavor is good. It doesn't have that meaty depth, which I knew was going to be an issue, and I thought we had. Let's put some more seasoning in to improve the taste. Actually, I'm going to give it a shot of black soy sauce, which is like molasses thick. I think it'll help the color. And by a shot, I mean quite a bit here. I think it'll help the color to darken up and give us a little more of a savory thing, hopefully. The whole thing here looks a little bit pale, which makes me really want to not add milk to it. I think it'll probably be fine. We're going to slide it to the back burner. We're going to make a trough in the middle so that it doesn't mud volcano on me. Turn off the front burner. We're going to let that add chocolate milk. That's that. I'm trying to think the flavors. It could use. It doesn't need more salt. What it needs is more umami. And the texture is kind of soft, which that was always going to be an issue. That actually might have been helped by doing it the way I was supposed to do it. Anyways, we're gonna let that brudle in the back corner. Is my day job a chef? No, my day job is not a chef. No formal training. I don't have a can of tomatoes. I was looking for a can of tomatoes. I have a fresh tomato that I could chop up. Oh, I actually have a giant can of whole tomatoes. I have this giant can of whole plum tomatoes. That says used by 2024 September. Okay, well, we got time on that. It's a big can. I don't want to add that much tomato to this. I could just chop up a tomato. It's going to be in there long enough now to cook. And I also have the half. Tell you what, we're going to use this half because he's already started. Take our little stemmy boy out. This will also help with the savoriness a little bit, I think. So it's decent shout. Because when you combine tomato with salt, the glutamic acid in the tomato combines with the salt to form MSG. And that's why salted tomatoes taste so good. And also, if you've ever had a salted tomato, you've had MSG. Yes, I got this pile of zucchini was $1. It's about 5 pounds of zucchini. We're not using all of it. And it was $1. I could have had twice that amount of okra for $1. I opted not to do that one because I didn't think I'd be able to use that much okra. And also I didn't have a good idea for okra. Zucchini, if I have extra zucchini, I'll just throw it in a stir fry or something. I'll have... So yes. And it's in good shape. It's not like it's bad zucchini. I think they just got new stuff and put the old ones out to pasture. Which is why we're making Zoodles. And it was the Zoodles that convinced me to try to make the tofu sauce here. These new knives are good. I like these new knives. But yeah, that's completely exactly what happened. Okay, now that I actually see it in the pan, I think that's enough tomato. I'm not going to go for the other one. We'll get it stirred in, let them cook down. We might have to deglaze the pan again. Tofu really is kind of a sticky ingredient. And we might have... I got the temperature low. Just turn it down a little bit more. Which helps things not stick. But tofu is a particularly sticky ingredient, so we're still having some stickage. Okay. I did notice just now, while I was stirring it around, you guys couldn't quite see it because I didn't change the camera. Liquid is starting to pool on the surface. So we are separating out some of the liquid that the tofu picked up and kind of cooking it away. So that's a good sign that that might actually thicken up. Yeah, well, we're doing one today with the Zoodles. That tomato is just going to have to hang out. We're not going to use it today, but it's fine. It's still in perfect condition. Speaking of Zoodles, let's see. Some of these were a little bit worse for wear than the others, and we'll start with those since they won't. That one. That one's the worstest for wear. It's got a blemish there. So we'll start with that one. I did not freeze my tofu. This is the first time I've done something like this. So I'm experimenting, and I'm finding that the tofu definitely needed some kind of pre-treatment to reduce its moisture level. I just crumbled it with my hands into crumbles. And I think it probably needed to either be dehydrated or baked or possibly frozen. Because I just kind of threw it in there. So I'm learning that that's not the most ideal way to do it. Also, hi, Fairly Critical. Welcome, welcome. Where did I put the knife? Over there. Looks good on the inside. I bet you that's just a surface blemish. We're going to use this terrifying, terrifying device. This thing. To zoodle this. We started with firm. I also don't have a spiralizer, so this is what we're doing to get the zoodles. This thing, it's a nightmare to use. It's a nightmare to clean. But it does the thing it's designed to do. It gives us these nice strands. So I guess in that respect, I can't fault it. Also, thanks. I think some of these ones with the seeds in them are just going to disintegrate. The seeds break up the structure. Oop, I got a chunk on the wrong side there. Oh my God. Fairly Critical. Thank you so much for subscribing. I don't have any audio alerts. I just say thank you for subscribing. And sometimes I do a little song and a dance. Little dance. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Oh, well, that assumes I'm facing the right direction and can even see it happen. Most of the time, when something happens, I don't find out for another 10 minutes because I'm over there. I turn around and I'm like, oh my God, I got raided 25 minutes ago and didn't even notice. Well, if you like Fairly Critical, appreciate what you're seeing, and you want to see more of this kind of experimental I don't know what I'm doing most of the time cooking. Good news, Twitch is free. You don't have to subscribe to watch. And we appreciate you just hanging out. But I would also appreciate any support. No obligation. That is as far down as I think I can zoodle. I see why people invented a device to do this. It's a bit tedious this way. What do we think? Is that enough noodle? Or do I want to do like half of one of these? Calling the fire truck on me. Is that enough, or do I want to do like half of one of these other ones? I usually think of one zucchini as being enough. That one's got a few little scars on it. That probably is the next one to use. And then we're going to take a few swipes of this guy. Yeah, better to have extra than not enough. Especially for the plating. You don't want your plating to look underfilled. This is easier with the stems still on to hold it together. Learned that lesson too, I guess. Although I would take the little bud off the bottom. Take that little bud off the bottom. Do I know a lot about cooking? I suppose at this point, just by sheer attrition, I consume quite a bit of YouTube cooking content and shamelessly steal ideas from there as well. Okay, that looks like it's going to be a good pile. It's going to take up this plate. Okay, we are reaching for the non-stick. Fairly Critical seems to know about Zoodles and veggie cooking. So before I dive in on this, in my mind, the thing to do here is to lightly saute the zucchini strands. And then toss them in the sauce. Because I think if you cook them any other way, they'll just turn to mush. They don't want to eat them raw, but they only want to be cooked a little bit. Because they're so thin. And I'm also a little concerned that we're not going to have a the pasta water element. Because to make a bolognese stick to the pasta, it's very nice to give a splash of pasta water for that starch. But I don't know if we'll have that issue with the Zoodles. I did reach for a non-stick because that stuff has been a little bit stickier than I was expecting. And I'm just going to hedge my bets on it. We would probably get away with using the little stainless skillet, but oh well. Get these all individually stranded. I'm curious about this because I've heard of doing this with zucchini for a long, long time, and you can even buy these like pre-cut. But I've never done it or eaten it because I like pasta. Okay. Gonna need turn the heat off on that guy and actually give him a taster. Where's my little taster? Where did I put my little taster? Put it behind that coconut milk that only came out because I was digging around for tomatoes. Ooh. The fresh tomato made such a difference. Wow. Did the fresh tomato make such a difference? Oh man, it's like night and day. Ooh. Ooh. Okay, okay. I'm more upbeat. It's also thickened up quite a bit, which is good. Okay, okay, okay. Leave the heat on real low. This can be our tosser. Get our oil heated. This is a good opportunity for me to plug my Discord channel. Let me go do that real quick. Because you get to see me do the work here. But then I haul into the other room and take the glamour shots. And if you want to see the glamour shots, they get posted on my Discord and Instagram when I remember it. Which I only seem to remember it now when I'm plugging it. And then later when I'm actually doing the posting, I forget about it. Okay, that oil is nice and oily. Should have done this in a big pan. Well, we've committed now. That's fine. Okay. I don't want to stir this around too much for risk of breaking up our strands. Although they're reasonably flexible. so it might not be an issue. I guess we're just gonna let them cook for a minute or so. Toss them around a few times, give them the sauce, toss them around a few times, and then I think we have to decide if I'm going to add cheese. And at this point, I think I'm committed to no cheese. Yeah, okay, we want to, I think, oops, shoot. No, we're just gonna get that off of there. Tossed a little too aggressively. We want to get rid of that raw vegetable flavor. Oh, man. Taizan knows what's up. Adding more tomato. That was the ticket. That was the ticket. Okay. It won't look right without cheese on top or something. It's got its green element from the zucchinis themselves, but it's not really prominent. I'm going to go for a topper of parsley. I was just talking to WeFormer about getting that splash of color. Some foods just sort of gravitate towards being all the same color. And you just kind of gotta toss something on them for that contrast. Speaking of toss, yeah, the ones with the seeds have definitely kind of started to break up. But the outer strands are actually all working really well. I'm going to, we're going to test it. We're not going to assume. We're going to grab one. A thick one. They can actually stand a little bit more time. So we're going to let those sit for another minute while I prepare the parsley. We'll toss the parsley in the pan with the zoodles. Then we'll add the sauce, toss it all together. Because there's no parsley in the sauce anyways, and having a little bit of that fresh vegetable, that fresh herby flavor will be nice. But I don't want to just run it right through the whole sauce. I'd rather dose it out a little bit. Oh, and our sauce is not sticking, so the sauce being kind of thick and sticky the way it is makes this a little bit difficult to toss around, and the noodles are maybe just on the outer edge of workable. We're taking the heat off. We're taking the heat off. We're switching tools to this. And if we cook them anymore, we're going to lose all our volume. So heat off, heat off. So it doesn't toss the way a bolognese should. It's a little bit too pasty. And I think I just took the Zoodles over a bit, which is unfortunate. I blame me for the failings here. I think this would have worked if I had been a little bit more mindful. Because it kind of all turned into a paste. Let's see if we can't break that up with. Yeah, that's gonna break us up. Because I also scraped it out with a spatula, so we didn't get sort of a loose plating that you get from noodles. But we can fix that by just kind of teasing the noodles apart. Much better looking, although I need to wipe the edges of the plate again. Okay. Why can't I get one there? Boy, it really wants some cheese on top as a finishing topping. It really wants a white splash on the top. What have we got that we can sub in without going for cheese? Because it would be a shame to spoil the pure veganness of it at this point. I don't know that I have anything that wouldn't completely ruin the flavor. I don't think I have anything that fits the bill there. We could give it a sprinkle of nutritional yeast. It's so nutritional. It's so yeasty. I'm giving it a fresh sprig of parsley as well. And okay, I think that is all she wrote. Let's slide on over, grab our glamour shots, and then we will slide on back. Do our tasting. Although I already know it's tasty because I had the taste test part way. We ran, I don't know if anybody noticed, we ran a new ad scheme today in which I was doing pre-rolls only. And I mentioned it at the very beginning when nobody was here, but I mentioned it again now at the end to see if anybody noticed, cared. Let's give this a taste. The zucchini noodles are nice and... I need an angle. You guys can see. They hang straight down. They're nice and strandy, like spaghetti, like a spaghetti. They definitely don't have the same texture as pasta, and they never were going to. I don't think that's possible without wheat or like meat protein. So they have that kind of vegetable crunch to them still, but they're nice and tender. They contribute a little bit to the flavor, but they definitely aren't overwhelming, which is expected. Zucchini is kind of a blank slate in terms of flavor. Taste it by itself and you can taste it. Put it with anything else and it kind of disappears into the dish, which is perfect for something like this. The sauce has come out rich, flavorful, sticky. Which is not what I should have said just now. What I mean is it holds together. There's no puddles. It's not separating. Even the extra oil I added doesn't really separate. The tofu holds onto it, and it makes the whole thing like very, very rich. It has it doesn't have the texture that you would get from meat, but it has that sort of coats your mouth feel that you get from something that has animal fat cooked into it. The fresh tomatoes at the end were a stroke of genius. They really brightened up the flavor a lot. I was a little worried about it before that, but no, that really jumped up the flavor. I think treating the tofu in some way to sort of dry it out before starting, either freezing it, which I know causes it to kind of break up, or crumbling it and baking it so that it's little pieces would help the texture a lot, and it would help us with the tendency for it to want to soak up any liquid that I threw in there, which was a little bit of an annoyance as I was cooking it. The flavor is very close, I think, to real bolognese. it has a rich, deep savoriness to it. And I think the only thing that's letting it down a little bit is the texture. I do think that liberal application of this stuff improved the taste. That stuff is a more concentrated flavor than soy. So adding a little dash of this doesn't give you a lot of extra salt, but it gives you a lot of extra flavor. Whereas recipes often call for soy sauce for the same purpose, but you have to use more soy sauce, so you end up with more salt unless you use low sodium soy sauce, which kind of defeats the purpose of soy sauce. I like it. It's different. It's definitely different. I don't think you'd mistake it for meat sauce, but it hits that same kind of. It hits the same spot as a meat sauce. It's rich. It's savory. It coats your mouth. It sticks to your ribs. Actually, I don't know if it sticks to your ribs. We'll find out, I guess, if I'm hungry in an hour. But it feels like it's nice and hearty. The zucchini noodles, I overcooked them a little bit, so that is definitely a consideration. They are a little bit more delicate and easy to overcook than standard pasta. And I think a lot of standard pasta is already veggie. Like this dried stuff is just wheat and some minerals. They don't put egg directly in these guys. So I think I have a ghost. My instruction book for my magic pot just flew off the shelf and landed on the floor out there. So yeah, I think you have to be really delicate. I think pull the zucchini noodles, treat them like egg, and pull them before they're done, or else they will be overcooked. They definitely go from not quite cooked to overcooked pretty quickly. That said, I'm not mad about the eating experience here at all. I would return to this. I like that sauce. We could definitely use that sauce, which is good because there's a ton of it here. There's more than half of it here because I kind of bunched it up on the side. I used about that much of it. But it's really thick. It's thick and kind of holds itself together. Like I could bunch it up and it held its shape. You could use that as like a stuffing for something because it's got that enough of a thickness, especially if you froze it. You could make like little balls out of it and make arancini. We could try arancini again, but with that stuff in the middle. Even softer than the cheese balls we used last time. Yeah, I'm quite pleased. I'm quite happy with our results. I didn't cut myself on the nightmare peeler. Yeah, and it's looks like just about dinner time to me. So I'm gonna slide back to the main view here. Point at you real quick, and then say we're gonna wrap her up and head out. I point that way because that's where the door is. We're gonna head out. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sticking around. Let's find somebody to raid. We could go say hi to WeFormer. We've done that a lot. But we love hanging out with WeFormer. Sure. Someday I'll be adventurous and find somebody new, but that day is not this day. Yeah, so thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for sticking around to the end. Thanks to Fairly Critical for the sub. Thank you for follows. And I don't have much else to say. I think I got a little bit sun toasted. Next stream is on Monday. I do need to sort of put on a formal schedule. I used to have one, and I took it down because I kept moving stuff around. But I've been on a pretty stable Monday, Friday since then. So next stream is on Monday. We always shoot for 4:30 my time. And I was a half hour late today because I forgot to charge my microphone and I needed to let it sit and charge for a little while. So, plus I had a secret memory. Every once in a while I jump in with a secret special something or other stream. They're unscheduled and unannounced. Well, they're announced on Discord, but they're unscheduled and they just happen. Isosceles knows. He was there. 2, 1, I missed the countdown. Stop.